Hey guys, we are live.
Hello, people.
Yeah, so if you saw my post today, today's show is going to be a little bit different. We Charlie and Colleen's internet has mysteriously just turned off for the day, so they are unable to join, and so we wanted to keep connection with you guys and keep the show going on. So Eugene graciously stepped in to join us, and like I said in my post, we're going to make this one open to anyone who wants to join us. And then we'll also take questions from the chat, and we'll just kind of have a more dynamic show, because normally Charlie, and we love him for his long-winded responses because they're so full of wisdom and so full of just beautiful information. But Eugene and I can answer questions a little bit faster. So we should be able to get to more. So yeah, with that, I guess we can start just talking about kind of like what's going on. And I know like if you're paying attention and really checking in on what's happening, it's crazy how much is building and how many moving parts are happening and how it's just all building up to this pivotal moment where once it starts, it's like it's all coming out. It's all beginning, and and there's no stopping it. And I think the momentum of that shift is going to surprise even those of us who are paying attention. But I know in DC they're seeing lots of military helicopter activity and lots of crazy stuff going on there. And yeah, Charlie's even said that all of the downloads that he's been getting is just like there's a lot of military activity going on, like things are happening. The movie is still playing out, so it hasn't become super visibly apparent. It's not being broadcasted to the masses, but it's happening. So
So you're saying the dominoes are falling.
the dominoes are falling. Yeah, the dominoes are falling, and it's the fuse is lit, as we've said. So buckle up and get ready for it. We don't know, no one knows the date, no one knows exactly when, but it's lining up for a pretty exciting few weeks, couple months. As we've talked about, there have been lots of Christmas comms to point to that. And I kind of think that the time leading up until then, as we're experiencing the fall of man, is going to be where that whole system falls. All the lies and the deceit, they fall and come crumbling down. So we'll see the disintegration of the mainstream media, of the financial system, of all of these satanic organizations.
And along with it, all the programming, like the conditioning. And I'd love to jump into food if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this today, how food is going to be arguably the hardest truth for people to swallow, no pun intended, because it's
cheeky.
it's the one that's right there that everyone can relate to, because everyone is addicted to food or has been addicted to food to some degree or another. So it's a very like personal thing to let go of, because we've talked about like the truth about Hitler and the truth about flat earth and the truth about dinosaurs and all of these things are going to be hard for people to go through. But it seems like the most visceral reactions that people get are when you start to question their food, and the fact, especially people who eat meat and animals, to tell them that, hey, this is not how we were intended to live, and this is actually what's killing us, and we've been programmed to eat this way, and because it causes us to accrue this negative karma, it destroys our body and all those sorts of things. And you just see the reactions that people get, like, where are you going to get your protein? Like you're dying, and there's no way I'll do that. And just shows how deep seated those addictions truly are. So yeah, what else do you have to add about food?
It's the big demon. It's the big daddy demon of the food, because yeah, like you were saying, so many people are so attached to their preferences, their tastes, and their palate. A lot of people are living out of their stomachs. That's the main animal instinct. I mean, the thing is, I'm still very addicted to food. I'm just addicted to better foods now. So I'm not saying I'm breatharian or anything, disclaimer, but yeah, some people are just so far gone. Like I remember Krishnamurti's like, does one ever come to question the cruelty, like the aspect of how, like, like we were talking about earlier about like the whole fear thing, right?
Mhm.
Because we were saying, I mean, it's one thing if you care for the goat and you care for the cow, and then you squeeze its tit, and then you take the milk, when you're the only species eating a different milk, but not your own kind of milk. Anyway, that's one thing. If you're like mass hoarding it in factory style and just slaughtering these guys, and yeah, like if there's blood in the milk and all, it's just crazy. You're taking that fear too. Like if this orange is conscious, like if everything has its consciousness, right? Like this Dr. Musa always talks about this. What's happening with you when you're mixing all that, like that negative fear, you know what I mean? That unconscious, like, oh gosh. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it ties, the karma literally wraps into whatever the substance is. So if that cow has been raped and tortured and kept in confinement, and then you're drinking the fluids that are sucked out of it artificially through usually through robots, like the artificial udder suckers or whatever they are. But it's a very horrible experience, and so all of that negative karma that's been accruing through the torture of that creature is energetically within the milk that you're consuming. So it's very different if I still don't advocate for it, because I don't think it's the space of the most health. But you look at countries like India, where they have family cows and they take care of them and they love them, and it's like a family member. And yeah, the cow produces milk because it naturally does that. I would say that the energetic damage that would happen would be much less, if almost non-existent. Like I said, I still don't think physiologically it's going to be the best for you. It's going to keep you rooted in some way or another, but it doesn't compare to this idea of these factory farm milk. When it just gets a lot worse in that sort of way. But this is going to be a very difficult thing for people to come to terms with, because everywhere you look, even vegans who eat all this processed crap, and they think that they're morally superior because they eat the processed crap, and in some sense, they might not be accruing karma and hurting other beings, but they're still hurting themselves, and they are still a part of this creation, so they are still accruing that negative karma in a sense. And we have to get away from this idea that all this garbage that's in grocery stores and supermarkets is food, and let go of these sort of comforting temptations that we've all been accustomed to. And I always like to draw on the comparison of these temptations are like why, when you think about it, like why would God make a donut, for example? Why would God make a donut so delicious, so tempting, so appealing, and yet it's one of the most horrible things that you can ingest and put into your body? It destroys it, it damages it. And we have to really reframe our look at temptation and realize that all temptations are just a challenge to overcome. We agreed to have all of these challenges put in front of us so that we could overcome them, because the whole point of this game that we're playing is to overcome the challenges and to rise. And so if it was easy, if it was simple, if it was just a walk in the park, the reward for overcoming those challenges would not be nearly as great. So we, on a higher level, we actually asked for these challenges to be as significant as they are, so that we could overcome them, so that when we look back and can celebrate, and at that point we can celebrate, we're like, heck yeah, I overcame that. I defeated those challenges. I moved past it. But yeah, it's an intense ride for sure. It's certainly a challenging thing to overcome.
It's like delayed gratification goes so far these days, because everyone's just instantly like, I want this now, and I think we have to, like you used a perfect word, reframe the whole idea of like all these rituals going on, right? Like this Thanksgiving, it's like you need a turkey, you need a big fat turkey for Thanksgiving. It's like so backwards. Like I don't know. It's like and like in Korea they have so many drinking games. Like Koreans are so big on, and it's, I don't know how to say it. It's like for them, that's the gratification. It's like the joy of decadence, the joy of killing yourself. And we have to realize there is no joy in that, like, it's just, I can't even, it's so warped.
Yeah, well, and I think going back to reframing, it's reframing away from the short-term gratification towards the long-term. And the short-term is always going to be those sins, the temptations of the flesh, those quick little fixes that feel good in that moment, but ultimately in the long-term are detrimental. Whereas if you look at the long-term, the straight and narrow path, this journey that we have to be on, you can't be short-sighted. You have to be looking at not that there's an end destination, but you have to have that perspective to know that you've got a trajectory that you're going on, not just, I'm just whimsically going around feeding my emotions and my bodily temptations, my bodily, desires of the flesh, and really be looking at the grander scheme of, what can I do? What can I do otherwise to sort of further advance down that path?
I guess the question would be like, are you, do you end at that sensual pleasure being fulfilled, like that, are you just your hunger that you want to quench, or are you something beyond it? It's like, when you ask that question, you're like, I don't think I want to be just this physical rat race type,
Yeah, I'm not this body.
Yeah.
I'm just inhabiting this body. And so if I let this body, if I let this, my ego, or, the carnal desires that control the body, if I let that steer me, then I'm not really in control. I'm just allowing my sort of vessel to control me, instead of operating the other way around, where, I am a soul inhabiting this body. In order to advance as this soul, then I need to make sure that this body is working as properly as possible, as smoothly as possible, as alkaline as possible. So it's and that's the path that we're on, and this applies not just to food, but this is all of it. I mean, this is the whole journey is figuring out this path that Jesus and so many others have laid, and walk it, truly walk it, and step onto it.
I would say vibration is a viper, and like literally everything they're doing is vibrational poisoning, like vibrational intoxication, whether it's like what you see in your sight, what you hear, whether it's music, and then what you're tasting and sight, like television or whatever it is, right? Like everything, it's just complete sense domination.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people that are in the sense are gone, like they're not there. Like you look into their eyes and there's no light, which brings us to what Charlie was talking about. And then like later, as I was leaving, he was saying like, the darkness, it's like so great in them. And that's part of the verse too. It's like, because it's like, it goes like, if thine eye be single, thy whole body will fill with light. I think it's 6:22, Matthew. And then later it talks about how, but if it is dark, how great is that darkness?
Right.
So
it goes either way,
yeah.
And that's what the cabal consciously, they go towards that dark path because they know that there is a power of essence of a type to go that direction. So it is a path to choose. I mean, there is only one path, but if you go the opposite direction on that path, it's not one that I'd advocate for, but I can see why it would be tempting to go that direction as well, because but it gets dark really quick, so don't go that way. So yeah, should we bring on, we got some people in the waiting room. So yeah, tonight, like I said in my post, it's just going to be open and fun. We're just going to play it by ear. So we've got 3 guests here, and I'm just going to let everybody in.
Whoa, all 3, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, here we go.
It's going to be a party.
Yeah, and anyone who wants to join us, feel free, and we'll just have an open conversation and take any questions.
Fiesta.
Yeah, fiesta.
It's a freak party. It's a freak party.
Yeah, what's up? So we've got Marianne, Deborah, and Judy joining us. Hey guys, feel free to chime in. Asher, Charlie, and Colleen, their internet is down. So it's just going to be us tonight. Just kind of have an impromptu little change up of a show. And a little bit of a
freestyle, I think the swimmers call it.
Yeah, just have some fun. And yeah, feel free to drop any questions in the chat as well. we'll do our best to answer them. Charlie's in the chat on Colleen's phone.
No way.
So we do have their beautiful presence with us, while not in the Zoom room, but certainly with us.
We have the general's blessing. No
Yeah.
pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
Keep it PG, guys.
Yeah. What else? Becky. Yeah. Marianne, Deborah, Judy, are y'all there? Do you want to chime in at all?
We caught them off guard.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to hop in.
Hey, Becky.
Hey, Becky, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Hey.
me?
Yeah, we can. We can't see you though.
That's because I'm invisible.
You're invisible?
You're invisible, yeah.
Well, that's pretty impressive. How do you do that?
Where'd you go? I lost you.
Yeah, we can't see you though.
That's because I'm invisible.
So you'll just want to mute the YouTube video. Oh, there you are. Hi, Becky.
Little old lady.
How do you do that?
Where'd you go?
So Becky, you'll just want to mute or turn off the YouTube and you're just going to be communicating on Zoom.
Okay. Little old lady. Is that right?
Yeah, so just on Zoom, we'll just be here, not on YouTube.
Okay.
How you doing tonight?
Are you speaking to me?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm doing really well. I've been following Charlie. It's coming on to about a year that I've been following him, and Charlie and Colleen and the both of you are awesome.
Thank you.
I was really involved with you and President Trump and just a raw person. And it really helped when Charlie started decoding things. And the way that I found Charlie was I saw the takedown of the cabals of A to Z, and I thought, man, I've got to find this guy. And so I kept searching to find Charlie, and then he just blew up my world. He shamed me into being vegan again, and it's a really good thing because I've been vegan and vegetarian back and forth, and I went back to eating meat, and I have no idea why. But I feel so blessed that, I mean, listening to Charlie, you can feel it in your heart. It's the truth. And always before, I just was curious. You know, it's like I had doubts. And then when I heard Charlie, all the doubts were wiped away. Absolutely wiped away. And then he introduced me to not personally, but you know, through the internet to Josh X, and he's pretty amazing too. So Charlie is really tough. He's so truthful, and you can listen to him, and it's like if I never do eggs or dairy or meat anymore, but sometimes I'll do cooked food and I'll think, oh, Charlie's thinking that I'm eating jam. And I am, you know, I get it, but I still haven't come to absolute control of the choices, the taste buds, and still overcome me. But I gave up fast foods and crap and all that for a long time ago. and I have my own garden, and so I grow things from the garden. But a question that keeps coming up for me is that with all the things that are happening in the world, with Trump and the White Hat and all that, I often think, well, what if the truth really, really comes out that they've been in charge and all this hell that's taking loose? Is there a possibility that it could backfire on the good guys, and that, or are people gonna be just so thrilled that the world gets so much better that it will be okay? Because with the vaccines and just so many horrendous things, I wouldn't want it to all backfire on the White Hat. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's the reason why this movie has been so meticulous. Because if they wanted an easy fix, if they wanted to do it quickly, they would have done it back in 2016 or 2015, back when the military first seized control. And this is very well outlined in Charlie's video, cutting the head off the Hydra, which is when they initially took down the 13 families. So if they had wanted to go at it initially, they could have done it right then and there when they took down the 13 families. But what you're speaking of is what they wanted to avoid, which is the calamity, the widespread destruction, the death that would have happened inevitably because of too much truth coming out all at once. And so that's why it's taken this amount of years, and for this movie to be played out in this sort of way, because each step that occurs is just a further reduction of the possibility of that getting to that point where it's going to be destructive and there will be that widespread death. So what I feel they're doing is they're testing these scenarios every step of the way with supercomputers to sort of gauge where the public is. Hey Nancy, if you want to go ahead and mute your mic. Because each step. There you go. Just turn off the YouTube video and just speak through Zoom. But yeah, so they're testing the public reaction to with these algorithms to say, if we drop the truth right now, what would be the widespread effect of it? And so every aspect of the movie that's playing out. So you look at an example like the election. They knew that was a trap. They knew that they were going to come out and try and cheat and rig that election. But the whole point of it was to further get these lower level rats to expose themselves, to commit these crimes, and then to further advance this idea that our whole system was rigged. So you've got all of these patriots who voted for Trump who know that Biden didn't win. They see the fact that he had 6 people at his rallies, and he couldn't even feel the fields that he was in.
And all those things.
Right.
I was alive when President Kennedy was shot. And wow. I was in high school, and my mom and dad were like so gun-ho Democrat, and worked for him and from Kennedy and his brother Robert. And when Kennedy was shot, the air just went out of every balloon and I witnessed that. It was like, it was Camelot before, and there was hope. It was like I feel about President Trump, that he's the first president that I even signed up to vote for. I had not voted forever because I just thought, what's the point, you know? And so I have been into conspiracy ever since that time, off and on. And then, 9/11 was, who are you kidding? And I knew that there were no planes that hit that building. I knew that. because there were even films in the news and things that kind of got through, and if you were paying attention, you would see it, and then it was scrubbed. And then I learned about Price's actors and like that, and that you couldn't believe anything. And I've told people that Sandy Hook was a false flag, and so I've lost a lot of family and friends, as you can imagine. But the truth is so important. And there's a little thing in me that really, really wants to say, okay, I was right. But in truth, having to be right is an act of violence in my way of thinking. That I just look forward to the truth coming out and people waking up to realize that I did have some answers or some inklings. And so I was into conspiracy, but not theories. They were facts. And you could get the information a lot easier back then than you can now. So much has been scrubbed, but we have Rumble and Bitsy and all those. And Charlie's free, and Justin, and wonderful everybody. I forgot your name.
Eugene.
Yeah.
Eugene, sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay.
75.
He's new on the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, he's awesome. I love his insight and his demeanor and his cheery face.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we love Eugene. He doesn't, this is how he is all the time. Just always bursting with a zest for seeking the truth. And it's really contagious. So we really appreciate having him on the show as well, because that gives more people, it's infectious. It's contagious.
He's got really, all of you have really, really amazing high energy and a loving demeanor. And even though the truth sometimes is really hard to take, it's necessary if we want to evolve to a more conscious level, and that truth will always serve us and lies never will. So you have to let go of what's not the truth and move forward.
Exactly.
But I've been wanting to talk to y'all for some time, and I don't know, some way with Microsoft or whatever it is, it would never let me sign into anything. And so tonight with the Zoom, I thought, hey, give it a chance, let's see. And here I am, first one.
So it was meant to be.
So please give my utmost to Charlie and Colleen and Helen. Thank you.
Yeah, they're in the chat right now, Becky. So I believe they're listening, and I'd love to add to what you were saying.
Yeah.
The whole backfire thing, right? Like when it comes to like the art of war, I think backfires are included in, like they're factoring everything in, because like you wouldn't do anything if you were afraid to make a mistake. Like in life, you have to know that mistakes will be made. I mean, unlike, when they went to slay the Hydra, they couldn't make any mistakes, or even if they did, they have to achieve the goal, or else the Hydra would just grow another head. And yeah, I think it's really interesting what Michael was saying, that Trump has such a high IQ. Apparently, Melania has an even higher IQ, and then Barron trumps them all. That the only person that can tie with Barron in chess, I think, is Trump, or something like that. He said something like that. And that how they basically, completely stamp out the false fire that is the cabal, is that basically any option, so they'll give the other chess player options, but any option they take, it's a checkmate. So the way they play is that, and this is again why I think it's taking so long, is because they're allowing them to make their moves. And so, I mean,
and you have to give them enough rope where they hang themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's actually that the white hats are waiting for them to make enough mistakes to do exactly what you just said.
Right, because we are a country that don't arrest people unless they've committed a crime, and so we have to let them commit the crime. And that's part of the backfire thing that I was concerned about, because many people are still hurt, and so that's the sad part. And it's I think it's also consciousness. You know, the more you eat the right food, the more you meditate and be present in the moment, that you'll be in the right place at the right time, and that way, I mean, you won't succumb to what might happen being in the wrong place.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so well said. And that's ultimately what we have to remember is this is God's plan. And it always has been God's plan. God is always there. So everything that's happening around us is happening for us.
Right.
And we are experiencing exactly what we need to in each and every moment. So it does become this, you know, it's not that everyone that's experiencing something, it's something to help them illustrate an area that they need to work on. And even if, you know, we need to just take a step back and stop viewing death as this absolute end or this halt to anything. We are perpetual. We are souls. We are everlasting. So there's no point that a death is an end to anything. Sometimes a death is
just real quick. The ego is the only thing that's afraid of death. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And if you recognize that there is no need to fear death, then you can view it as a, you know, it's a teaching mechanism. It's not one that I necessarily want to encounter myself, because you don't have to have death as a teaching mechanism if you align on the right path. But if that is needed, it's a rebalancing, it's a recorrecting, it's a reconfiguration, you know, it's a reset.
Sometimes I think that we all have a codependency relationship with our ego, and that in order to heal that, and when it's codependency, there's a victim and a perpetrator, and we're both that. We're the victim and we're the perpetrator,
Yep.
depending on the loop of our thinking or our where we're at. So very interesting times, and I have in the past I've spent a lot of my life in depression, and so there have been times when I thought oblivion would be sweet, to just be sucked back into God and not have any consciousness at all, just see that unity. And so I look at death as being just a doorway to another experience. But now, with all that I'm learning and such, I would love to just get it right and to experience regeneration. And I do experience regeneration. I have many times in my life, you know, in the cycles that I've gone through. And I mean, I do simple rock climbing. I garden. Yesterday I worked 8 hours helping somebody clean out their garage. I was pretty tired at the end of the day, and then helped somebody with their gardening 2 hours a day. So I have a lot of energy. I think I could do better if I not gone back to eating meat, but the amazing, miraculous human anatomy, the avatar, the gifts that we've been given will regenerate when we give it the right food, which is in our mind, our body, our taste buds. All these things can come together to grow us into that amazing God being that we are. And I have one thing to say to Charlie about humankind, that Q is H-U, not H-U-E. And a long time ago, I realized that Hu, Hu, is another name for God. And so human is God mind. And that is one of the ways that we have been created in the likeness of God. So I hope I don't insult him or I mean, he's pretty tough. I don't think I could possibly insult him. But I just, every time I hear him say that, I just think, no, we are God mind. We are human. We are human. Human. And so I just wanted to offer a different insight to that word because it just doesn't sound like the truth to me. And practically everything that Charlie says resonates with me at such a high vibe that I just couldn't let that one go.
Well, that's a fascinating perspective. I've never heard that before. And, you know, I'd love to get Charlie's perspective and see what he thinks about that. Cause you know, the thing with Charlie and the thing with both Eugene and myself, we just want the truth. We're not tied to anything. I'm not holding on to any particular narrative or any particular aspect. We all agreed that we knew nothing and that we wanted to start from scratch and go from there. And we're just seeking the truth. So if that's the case, then I'm certainly open to it.
I feel exactly the same, and that whatever I've learned, if there is something better, something truer, I will release and let go of that which maybe I based my whole life on it. But I would rather be the agent of change for a greater truth than to be stuck in some thought or concept that I had, because you don't grow. You don't grow if you're stuck in something, if you're locked into something. So
if you're attached.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And that's the whole thing, is to detach or unattach. I would love to have Charlie finish his book on language, because there's so many words that I think are pretty fucked up with what they are saying to us and what it doesn't mean. But I probably would take it my share of time. But this has been so fun.
Yeah, well, let me read what. So Colleen and Charlie are both in the chat, and they said to tell you that you're awesome, because they're just loving everything that you're saying, and they really love you. And then they said, wow, Becky, we love your view of human. That's awesome. Thank you. You're so right. H is the breath of God and U is the U catastrophe. So we love it. So that just added a whole nother beautiful perspective. So thank you.
Oh, that's so wonderful. It's just such a gift to have an impact or to offer something to brilliant Charlie, because he has given me my life and a renewal of wanting to be alive. And so, wow, just wow.
And Becky, know that he gave you your life, but in a sense, you gave your own life back to yourself. So as you shine your light as bright as Charlie's shining his, you're gonna be helping other people get back on their feet too.
Yeah, and I always say that the only way that you could experience any of this is because we are just a reflection. I am just a reflection of you. Charlie is just a reflection of you. So the only way that it was possible for you to even encounter Charlie was because you did the work to get there.
And I understand that we are all a divine sparkling aspect of one another, and yes, that I have often thought that sometimes when I let certain people go, that, you know, they say people are here for a season or a reason or whatever, that often I think, well, maybe I'm just letting that aspect of myself go and opening the door to something, giving more space to something very wonderful.
Absolutely.
So are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we're still here.
Okay. I have a message from God. I don't know what it's gonna say, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. I'm kind of nervous, so I don't know if I'll do a good job, but oh well. So I'm an open door. I'm an open door for the truth and the light and the way. I give thanks every day for a beautiful yesterday. The sun, the beautiful sun, kissing me. The wind that blows, I hear the song of the universe playing in the trees. I am love, I am light, I am the way. So I thank you, thank you, thank you for this famous 15 seconds.
Amen, Ra.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
See, when all the cabal celebrities are cast aside and put in prison and in their place, people like Becky will come out and start shining.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I sing to my garden. I sing to my dishes. I sing all the time. You know, I learned at one time that bees buzzing and birds chirping in your garden helps the vibration and the food have a greater nutrient. And so I sing to my water, I sing to my food, and it's a blessing, but they're all just spontaneous. I call it spontaneous intention. That the intention is always for goodly, godly, and then I listen too. It's God talking to me. So it's basically the fruit of God, and in a sense, and I am so grateful to offer this gift.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, you're just tapping into the universe, the one song, you know, that we are frequency and vibration. We are God's song, just emanating, just appearing as physical form. So you tapping into that is such a beautiful way to show that gratitude. And as Charlie teaches, you know, when you do cross the throat, you cross that cross the fiction, go up and to the right around Alice bone. It's at the throat chakra, because we have to sing praises to God in order to cross that barrier. That's the step that's much needed. And so many people can do it in many different ways by speaking the truth, but singing is such a powerful way to do that, because you literally are singing praises to God. So bravo, sister. You're doing a beautiful, beautiful job.
Thank you. I've found that when you sing, people be quiet and listen, and they don't interrupt you when you're trying to say something. And this past year, especially with the pandemic, the stupidity of all that I have had so many people stomp on my voice, and I've found that, well, okay, I've got 2 ears and one mouth. Maybe it's, the message is to listen. But I got to the point where I just thought, you know, if I'm going to evolve by speaking the truth, it's not working out right now because I'm just pissing people off. And so I think it's best to just hold the vibration of truth and try to be as radiating as possible, so that they're infected by love and truth, and I don't have to say anything. It's like my greatest wish has always been to just glow in the dark, and but kind of be invisible, you know, like I don't want to be really famous. I really don't want to be famous. And I really don't want to have all the credit. I want God to take the credit. And so, but to be a catalyst, I mean, how awesome could that be? That you just walk into a room and there was darkness and now there's light, and nobody knows it was you. I think that's pretty awesome.
It is really awesome. And I want to read some comments that Charlie and Colleen have been saying to you in the chat. They say, we've officially adopted you. And we can't wait to meet you, Becky. You're adorable. And thank you. You are an angel, Becky. We can't wait to meet our angel, Becky. And Becky, you have just inspired Colleen to begin spontaneously singing to God again, like you do. So thank you for sharing.
Wonderful. Maybe we'll do some kind of a duet of it will be synchronistic when it happens. I don't know how it will happen, but it will be that. I have one more thing, and then I'll be kind and let other people share.
All right.
But,
yeah.
I have desire to get a little camper or whatever, and I have no money. God just always provides. I had a really, really good retirement plan, but things didn't work out quite the way that I thought it would. But it doesn't matter because I've never gone a day without a meal, and it would probably be a good idea to go a day without a meal. But I did do a 4-day water fast, and I want to do a longer one. I'm looking forward to the solstice. Of the equinoxes, all of them. I've decided that every 3 months, at least one day. And I was doing Sabbath water fast for a while, but I'll get back to that, like you were saying, Justin. But the question I have is, does Charlie have a really good plan for all the shit that's happening on his property with all the wonderful animals? Because I'm really looking forward to when I come to pick up shit every day. But I want a really, really good method of composting where it will get recycled, and with the animals eating all this good food, it should be great. So does he have an area and a plan for making all this wonderful compost that the animals are gifting him to work further on for the fruit trees and all, and that I'm not above picking up shit. I sometimes I'll volunteer at people's house to take care of their cats, and I'll just take the cat litter and do that, and I can shovel up doggy things. I'm not so sure about cow and horses, but I'm willing to learn, and it can only help to build muscle and strength. So I just wanted you to know, Charlie and Colleen, that when I ever get to come down there, I will be helping you shovel shit.
That's amazing. And yeah, it's always appreciated. I try and help out. Eugene helps out so much by picking up the cat litter and helping walk the dogs and stuff like that. But as far as your question concerning compost, so the beautiful thing about where they live is it's out and basically in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by just beautiful land. So the compost just has to go outside, and there are cows and horses that come by and eat it. And then the cows will disperse it and compost it in that sort of way. And with the dog poop, same sort of thing. We just disperse it away from their house, but then that goes to feed the soil and feed the trees and all sorts of other things. But as soon as we get a little bit more established, I'm sure we could get more creative, and maybe that would be something that you could help us with organizing a way to compost in a more efficient manner to where we could actually utilize all of it.
And Becky, actually, this is coming from someone who picks up dog poop every day, so I'm right there in that caliber. But I've been burning it right next to like lime trees, just anything that can use the nutrition and just stuff like that. And I actually had an idea because of this, because I have a little moto. Like he was saying, there's so many horses and cows just pooping everywhere. Eventually, we could pick up the horse and cow poop as well. And then we could use that and redirect that. So no, definitely. And Charlie is a man that has just never-ending ideas. So I'm sure he knows what we're going to do to scale in the future. But no, definitely, yes, it's compost is necessary and it's good shit.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I don't have any animal stuff to put on my garden. I use a lot of earthworms and such. But I was just wondering, because I'm sure that it would pile up pretty tall. And so I was curious if there was a plan, and I'm no expert. I would say I'm an entrepreneurial learner, and that I do get downloads. I certainly haven't ever experienced Kundalini rising in me, but that's the only place to go. I mean, eventually it will happen, I reckon.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that you have. And feel free to hang out with us here on the show, but I just want to make sure we give other people an opportunity to chime in if anybody wants to.
Well, that's perfect, because I'm done.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Becky. You are just such a beautiful soul, and we're so honored to have you here.
Thank you.
And impeccable timing.
Yeah, impeccable.
Thank you.
Of course, sister.
And actually, right before we jump into other people, I just loved what you brought up about the birds and just the singing and stuff, and how, yeah, if we just stop disrupting even the birds, like if everyone cared about the birds singing, how beautiful would this like world be, or this earth be, when if people every morning gave the time to just listen and weren't just cluttering it with their own noise. And if you really think about it, the birds are just a voice for ether.
Right, and the bees too, the insects buzzing. That there was, and crickets. I think that there was a study that they slowed down the recording of crickets, and it was like Gregorian chant. Isn't that amazing?
It's fantastic.
So amazing. Wow.
And
so
also,
I love you. I don't know if I'll ever figure out how to get on a Zoom call again, but just know that I'm out here in invisible land, supporting and loving you all, and
the best
all
place.
is well. What?
The best place, invisible land, because you have to be inwardly visible to see what's out there for what it is, right?
Really. So keep up the good work. I'm so glad that your aspects of my being, because you're pretty high class in my book.
Oh, and you are just the same. We are up the same. Love you, sister.
Thank you. I will mute now, and thank you once again so very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So with that, we've got a whole bunch of people on the call, but a whole bunch of camera shy people. Does anyone else want to chime in? Anybody else want to speak or ask a question? I muted you because just there was some background noise, but you're more than welcome to speak up, unmute yourself.
Oh, don't raise your hand, just talk.
Yeah. For me. Just unmute yourself, and you got to hit the little microphone button. And
hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can we see you too? Are you open that?
Maybe some other time. I look really old.
Yeah, that's all right. What's up, brother?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for all your work, Justin, Eugene, Colleen. I'm up now. Everyone, every week, you guys host the very lengthy video, but that's very, very encouraging and inspiring. Every time you guys talk, your vibration emit through the screens and makes us happy and be positive about it. I'm just really thanking you guys what you do, and please keep up with it. And every time you see guys, it's a whole new week starts, and every single day feels I'm just daring waiting for you guys video. And I have a few questions especially about you two, Justin and Eugene. I really admire you guys, just move to the Charlie's place and, helping, and I mean, not just helping their community, helping everyone else in the world. And that's just amazing. I'm just curious how your, status of a visa, or like, do you completely immigrated, or is it, how's it working over there now?
Yeah, so I'll speak for myself. I'm on a temporary visa, which is 6 months. It's, I think there was like a small fee, and you can renew that as many times as you want. You just have to go back across the border to renew that officially. So that's what I'm actually doing in this little trip to the US that I'm leaving on Monday, where I'm going to go see some family and renew my visa. So that's my status right now. But the idea is I'd like to get a permanent residence to where I don't have to worry about making that trip. I mean, I guess I don't technically have to worry about it if I took Eugene's perspective, which he'll share in a second. But yeah, that's my plan, is to renew the visa. Then I'll have another 6 months. Getting a permanent residence in Mexico is not super difficult from what I've heard. It just requires you have to show proof of income or a significant amount in your bank account. So I'm just kind of waiting for some investments, i.e. silver, to pop off, and then I'll have plenty to put in the bank and can apply for that and be done with it. So that way I can be a permanent resident, still a U.S. citizen. And as all of this continues, we're going to see less and less of this bureaucracy, this paperwork, all this bullshit that we have to do just to travel freely as sovereigns on God's given earth, our earth. That's all going to start to disappear more and more as we move forward. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep playing their little silly games, just to not have to deal with any of it. I want to be able to go back to the States easily and see my family and whatnot. But that's me, and I'll pass it over to Eugene.
Yeah, Harufumi, first, I just want to say thank you, because it takes a lot to listen. Probably it takes the most to listen, because that's the most important thing you have to do. And so just the fact that you're, you've given us a chance. That's enough, man. That's all. And, just like Becky was saying, she's not tied down to any particular belief, and earlier she said she doesn't have any doubt. Well, doubt and belief are just two sides of the same coin. And then when you go before that, that's the knowing. So, it's amazing. So truth defends itself, doesn't need anyone else to defend it. But yeah, thank you again. And yeah, my whole situation, I'm the exact same as Justin. I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of countries that have that kind of a deal with Mexico, where it's like a temporary visa if you don't sign up for anything. And then you can come in and then you can just leave and then come right back if you just step in a different country or whatever. But yeah, for my case, I just said, screw that. And I'm way past my 6 month time, time that you're supposed to go in and out, because I really don't have any plans of, going anywhere anytime soon. I want to wait till the Q team sorts their business, or even if their business isn't sorted and we're stuck wherever we are and we have to do all these vaccine passport things, I'm not willing to move. I'm not willing to do what they want us to do. And actually, I don't know if it's possible now, but you're supposedly able to travel anywhere as a sovereign if you do all the correct steps. But it's, again, like he was saying, a huge bureaucracy thing. Got to send letters to like everyone, and it's just a hassle. So yeah, I'm just here overstaying my visa, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah, and that's kind of the attitude that that we pick and choose how we stand in it, but the more ways that we can stand in our sovereignty and recognize that I am a child of God and you hold no authority over me, and your bullshit lies hold no sway over me, the more that we can collectively stand in that, the easier this transition is gonna be to facilitate. And we were actually speaking about this earlier with Charlie, and how all Jesus did was teach us how to be sovereign, and it's so very little taught in the church. But if you really look at what Jesus said, that's all he taught, was how to be sovereign, how to recognize that you are a child of God. You have all of this has been given to you, and no one can take it away from you. And that's what we truly have to stand in, moving forward. And that's what this great awakening is about, is taking responsibility for who we are, and the fact that we are powerful, and we have a lot to take care of, but which requires a lot of responsibility, but it also has a lot of reward. Notice all of these words, because is where God lies. That's the righteous path. So yeah, just wanted to say that as well.
Matthew chapter 6, I don't know exactly which verse, but around that, if thine eye be single, it says you can't serve two masters. And this whole system,
right,
they're operating off the assumption that you're serving Satan, that you're saving Saturn, the Saturnian law, the bar, right? They think that you're an incompetent vessel and that you have to be managed. That's why you have to, do all this register, because Reggie is just the king, right? And so all of this, bull crap process. But yeah, it's stupid, and it's going to be over soon. I saw Charlie and Colleen say it's all going to change. It has to change. It's just too much redundancy. It's too much. Makes no sense. What do you think about that, Harufumi?
great. Well, first of all, using your commitment is just so amazed. You're young and still commit to this, and work up to full extent. Same as all of you guys, the people in your community, just amazing. I'm speechless. I was hoping this whole thing would just collapse much earlier. That was my expectations. So pretty much adjusting strategies is exactly what I did. So I hold some precious metals, and hoping that I moved to fruit forest, and then helping community somewhere. But well, we are family of three. I have a kid who's 15 years old now. We've been struggling to fully commit to fruits. It is still transitional, sometimes 100% for a couple months. Still struggling, but I cannot force my kids to do just 100% fruits because of school. It's just impossible, going to the public school and doing juicing and attending class. So I applied for homeschooling, but all this stuff is just so tedious work. And
Yes.
I do have a residency in US, but I'm not a citizen. I'm originally from Japan, and I if I have enough banking balance, then I like to completely commit to this kind of stuff. But I'm hesitating right now. In California, they are forcing students vax mandate. So probably starting next year, or it's originally scheduled July. So we'd like to just escape from here to either Texas or Florida, and possibly, if Q Teams completely cleans up all this mess and ready for all the technologies. I don't really need to be in specific location. I just want to be in fruit forest, and same thing for my wife as well. But just whole situation right now, I cannot really make a good decision, except that we have started preparing transferring my kids to Florida or either Texas right now.
Beautiful.
But yeah, just thank all you guys. I
Thank you.
have to follow Justin's video and Charlie's video, sometimes 3 hours, 2 hours, And thank you very much for the discussion with Tony, and that is very helpful. I mean, I'm amazed you guys are not even charging all these informations, and it's just really thankful. But I'm kind of stuck right now. I don't. Well, luckily, I'm not serving for private or either public company. I was just laid off before 2020, and that was a good chance. So I had a plenty of time and listened to all you guys, podcasts, videos, and know that fully wake me up. I knew all this stuff, happening behind the scene back in 2016, but Charlie and you guys just a whole new levels. And I decided to fully commit the fruits back in end of January. But I kind of failed. I was fully committing fruits juice for 2 months and then crops. But yeah, I'm coming back and forth between 400% whole foods, and it just I may have to go back to some traditional Japanese supposed to be helpful cooked food, but that's what we are stuck right now. But anyway, yeah, I still have a lot more stuff to learn from you guys, and gem materials and all that stuff is very helpful. But I need to unlearn all the stuff that I learned over the few decades, of the educations, and what I learned in after school. It's a lot, but thank you very much for all your effort and continue working on this.
Of course, brother. Yeah.
Just one
Sure.
another quick question. So back in like a couple months ago, I think there are people visiting Charlie's place, and there was a time Charlie mentioned that maybe toward the December, you guys probably have some space, not physical space, but if you have a camper, just temporarily staying there, and then maybe if you need it, you get your own journey to discover more land or different spaces. But I was just wondering what's going on right now.
Yeah, so we're hoping to have that, but a lot of that is contingent on this sort of financial upswing. So for the precious metals and other avenues to kind of spring forth, which could honestly happen any moment, but we really don't know when that's going to happen. And whenever that does happen, it's going to help us accelerate those plans to get everything established. We want to get a space built with an outdoor kitchen, community showers, and a big parking area to where people could come and drive and park their camper and stay and visit for a while. And that we want to get that established, so that's an option. So we have this ability. Right now we don't. We've got Eugene's walls for his house all built. So they're going to get started on his house soon. So with that, I mean, with Eugene's area, I'm sure we could host, maybe like a tent space or two in the meantime. But it is still all up in the air, because we do kind of have to wait for the finances to settle, because once that happens, that initial financial boost from the silver is going to be tremendous. And then after that, it's just going to continue flowing, because the only thing that matters in this new system we're moving to is this abundance. So we'll be able to accomplish all of these things in a very small amount of time. But I can't give a really firm timeline on when that's going to look like, other than, we'll certainly keep everyone posted. And I appreciate the question, because I'm sure a lot of other people do appreciate it as well, just to get an update. But that's kind of where we're at right now. We've got Eugene's walls built, and the house will be coming soon. But that's as far as we've gotten so far.
Yeah, however, for me, I would say play it by ear, because we don't know, you don't know, and time has to tell, right? Tell its story, and as it'll unfold, the things will be put into its right place. And I kind of want to go back to, you were saying that you were stuck, and that you were forced. You couldn't do much to change your child's diet. Yes, that's true to an extent, but also don't tell yourself you're stuck. And disclaimer, we still eat steamed food. We're not completely raw, dude. That's our tangent too. At least we're tangenting on the Garden of Eden. So this whole Garden of Eden diet includes vegetables, herbs, everything. I mean, the fruits are the most astringent and they're the most streamlined. I mean, if you want to go even more streamlined, dry fasting or something more extreme like that, like, breatharianism, right? Like that's the most bang on direct. I'm connecting with God. There's nothing in between me, because you could even argue the fruits are addictions. But anyway, that's way later. But anyway, yeah, I was just thinking, like, it pains me if your child is, still, eating, like, for instance, dairy, like, even if it's not meat, like just a basic thing like dairy, geez, like just the amount of mucosa, like just the amount of, like, because basically if your lymph system isn't working, if your kidneys aren't filtering, you die. And so this is just a process of, how much clutter or how much junk we're going to accumulate in our bodies until it gives out. I think our whole view should just be unclutter. Like, I forgot what Becky was saying, but basically nothing is in between you and the truth except you. And then if we like accept that just, it makes it so much quicker. And I love how Josh X says it. He says, tell your kid real honestly, say, oh, this is an alive animal that you're consuming, or this is it has feelings, like this has an emotional, an aura, and you're choosing to kill that when you have all these other foods. And then you're consuming something that which can't be consumed by the body completely. So if you just lay out the fact that just logically speaking, it doesn't make sense, they can make they're a sovereign being too. They can make their own decisions. So I just wanted to say that, and no judgment to you, because everyone is on their own path. And we have one destination, but everyone is at different stages to get to that destination. So yeah, just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, with your thoughts around moving to Texas or Florida, I think that's a great idea. But I also am very strongly feeling that California, we're going to see the biggest 180 of any state in the US. I think California is going to be the place that sees such massive change in the fastest manner, because there are so many good people in California, and it is such a beautiful space, so in touch with the mother, that as soon as we reveal the corruption and how deep it's been and how much the elections have just been cheated every single time, that place is going to be turned around very quickly. And California is such a beautiful space. So I wouldn't give up hope on it just yet. We are so close to the grand reveal. And as soon as that happens, we are all going to be experiencing whiplash from just how fast everything is happening. So, we, like, once we hit that first initial spark, which is just right around the corner, nobody knows the date, but it cannot be much longer than this. So yeah, I just wanted to add that as well.
I see. I have another question, Justin and Eugene. I saw your video, Justin. You try to be present and doing the simple meditation. Could you speak a little bit more about how it's going and how you do it again?
Yes.
And how is it progressing and also helping you?
Yeah, so it's always been something that I've found I could do quite easily, but the more intentional I am with it, the more benefit I receive from it. But you almost can't really try too much at it. It's a state of presence. It's truly stepping into that moment and being fully in it. So there are conscious meditation practices that you can do. I've never really felt super drawn to them. And maybe that's something that I just haven't been ready for, or it's something that maybe it's not super necessary. But I find meditation to really just be a tool to attain that state of true presence, truly being in each and every single moment so fully that you are not letting the thought take you anywhere else. And the most tangible example of this is, if you love nature and you love hiking and climbing a mountaintop, that moment where you reach the top and you see that panoramic view and it takes your breath away and you are just so still and you're so silent and you are so present.
In
There is no possible way any thought is creeping in to try and take you away from that specific moment. If you can take that state of presence and transfer it literally every moment of your life, and to where no matter what I'm doing, if I'm driving in the car or if I'm, chopping some watermelon or whatever the case may be, if I can be that present and be that observant. So if I'm cutting a pineapple, I'm looking at my hands.
Smelling it.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm outside walking, I'm listening to the birds. I mean, even if I'm in a space of calamity where there's lots of noise and Babylon is racing by me and all that, still being very present in that, just observing it and noticing things and not trying to pick it apart or think about the past or worry about the future. None of that. It's a daily practice, and it's one we have to always strive to stay in it. And our ego wakes up every day with us to try and pull us away from the present moment. That's the whole aim of the ego. That's the goal of the ego, is to get us out of the present moment. And when we recognize it, that it's this little teaching mechanism that's always trying to tug me away from the present moment. And if I just say, nope, not today, Satan, you're not going to pull me out. You're not going to pull me out of the present moment, because that's the space where God exists. That's where we can truly connect. So I as far as like a tangible practice to help with that, I've used it a few times and it is certainly helpful. And I think it's a beautiful tool to use. But Charlie's talked about the monadic circle, which is essentially just a dot within a larger circle. You can either draw it or print it out, and you put it up on a wall and you just sit there in front of it and you stare at the dot and you let your gaze soften. And eventually the dot fades away and the circle fades away. And you're not trying to like silence your thoughts. You're just trying to observe them and just trying to be fully present and helping this by staring at that dot. It helps to kind of like let everything else fade away. And then eventually you fade away into that true state of meditation and that true state of presence. That's a beautiful tool. You can also do the same thing with a candle or even a campfire. You know, if anyone's familiar, when you sit around a campfire, you can't help but be drawn into it. This is this representation of the baptism of fire, cleansing all of our thoughts. So when we look at the fire, it's actually helping us cleanse our thoughts, and we can enter into this space of meditation in a much more easy way. So fire, a candle, a campfire, like those are great tools as well to utilize that. You can use the stars, you know, any sort of beautiful scene from nature or the mother is helpful to drop into that space of presence. But yeah, those would be kind of my tips on how to do this. But it's just a practice. I would advise not to try too hard at it, because as soon as you start trying too hard or memorizing mantras or all sorts of other things, they might be helpful to a certain extent, but if you rely on them and really focus too much on them, then you're taking a lot of thought in order to get to the point of taking no thought. So it's counterintuitive and counterproductive. So I hope that was clear, and feel free to ask any clarifying questions.
Yeah, if I could comment on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe don't try at all. Because like you were saying, trying to get rid of the ego is an egotistical enterprise. So you got yourself kind of stuck there. Right. And let's see, you were talking about being on top of the mountain, and that's just it. Your spine is the mountain. And if you're on top, if you have that perspective, if you're looking down, if you're surveying, wow, that's everything. And you were talking about the pineapple and just opening it. Enjoy the simple things in life. That's meditation. Simple 74, Jesus 74, fruit 74, just enjoy it. It's like that's when things come to fruition. Like even the word meditation, medio, is like in the middle, but you can think of it as message too, or so medium, like middle, so balanced, consciousness, tation. We know that 8 is the, what do you call it?
Scalar wave.
Exactly, it's the scalar wave, but it's also eternity. It's
Infinity.
And in some sense, Scorpio being the 8th sign is also death, but it's perfect dissolution. It's dissolving, right? It's the die of the balance. And that's what meditation is. It's when you're in complete balance. That's when you're aware. When you're chasing pain or pleasure, which is the same thing, You're unaware, and you're clouded. And when you're in pain or when you're in pleasure, you have to be able to look at it completely. It's not separating yourself from it. It's knowing that you are it. You are the fear. But as Krishnamurti says, you are the fear. You are the jealousy. You are the hatred. And then when you really watch it, and then you see that aspect is me, and you don't say I hate it or I love it. You say that aspect is me. That's when something else comes again to fruition. Something else flowers. And again, about the mountain. So when you sit at the top of the mountain, you're sitting on top of the 33 vertebrae, and 33 is Jesus. So when you're on the top of the mountain, you're the cornerstone. And what's the cornerstone? It's the all-seeing eye. And so that is meditation. It's just presence. And funny enough, 33, when you go around the alphabet twice, is 7. But when you add 3 and 3, it's 6. So would that be 6 and 7? Would you be in the spirit chakras outside of your 5 senses, already crucified? That is meditation. It's just completely being here now. And I could go with now. Do you want to go with now? It gets old after a while, but it's true, Now
Is one.
backwards is 1, which is also own. When you own everything, when you're completely sovereign, that you're also meditating when you're sovereign, because you're saying, no, I know my boundaries, you know yours, right? So there's that aspect to it too. So now 1, and then 1 phonetically is 1, O-N-E, not just I win, but you win because you're 1, because you realize there is no difference. And so you become Neo, and then you're a king for an eon. So we got this going, but yeah, that's my view on meditation. Don't see it as different as everyday life. Just living life to the fullest. And he was saying, don't try hard. It's not like you try to live life to the fullest. You just enjoy the simple things. You see, like, I don't know, like you were saying, like you look at the pineapple, the pineal gland apple, and you're like, what is this monstrosity? It's just an amazing, sweet, like it's prickly, like what? It's just fantastic. And like so many people now, we just take that for granted, and we would rather go buy this packaged processed bullshit over the most beautiful, weird, amazing thing. Like it's fantastic. So meditation, again, like you said, don't separate it from everyday activity. Of course, I think Zen teaches that there's sitting Zen, standing Zen, laying Zen, and walking Zen. So yes, there are different times to enjoy, again, simple things in life, like just sitting down and being quiet and listening, which is Saturn's trait. When you sat down, you're Saturning. You're sitting down and you're listening on Saturday. So like, yeah, of course, there's a time to sit down and really do that. But that's not always meditation, right? Because, and you touched on this, once it gets repetitive, once it's some kind of a ritual
Mechanism. Yeah, you become mechanical.
There we go.
You become a robot, and don't allow yourself to slip into these habitual ritualistic patterns. That's all the left brain wants us to do, is to get into these robotic, the wheel. We enter the wheel. And so it's not a mechanism that you can just adopt and repeat, and mantras to repeat over and over again. It's about like truly being present, and it's not something you can try to do. It's just this state of being. So the less that we try, the more that we're here, and which makes it difficult to explain how, because there isn't really a how to. It's just it's a knowing, and you have to step into that. And this is this beautiful space where we can get to, but the rewards are built into it. And this is all that Jesus was teaching. This is all that these ascended masters were teaching, was how to own your space, and how to be present, how to be now, how to win this game, the handbook to playing this game.
Art of War.
Yeah, the art of war. Yeah. And so I hope that kind of answered your question, Harpumi. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, thank you so much for giving all this info. I'm just taking up too much time from other people's chance to speak up. So I'm just gonna go. Thank you very much, and please keep up. I'm looking forward to it every week, and that's inspiring. Not just me, everyone in the world. Please.
We love you, Harufumi.
Yeah, we love you so much, and your questions are so perfect, and and it helps us bring this conversation to so many more people. So thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for your service. And don't hesitate to reach out in the future if you need any support with anything else. We truly are family, and I love you like a brother. So don't hesitate, my brother.
And I'll say this on behalf of Charlie and for myself. God loves a trier hard for me, and I can just hear it from your voice that you have a sense of humility, a sense of penitence. Like you actually, like just like Becky, you actually have a sense of wonder, as 48 says. You want to question, you want to know. And it's not because you want a reward, it's just you want to know how it's done right. Like it's just how I should be doing things. And again, that you know, coming back to meditation, that enjoyment of the simplicity of how everything is holistic and it makes sense, like forwards and backwards. You can read it at the same time now. And so, yeah, thank you, man. Like we love you. Like we love people like you. We love people who listen and try, and it reminds us of ourselves.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. I really love you guys. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Here. Wow, incredible. Well, does anyone else have anything they want to chime in with? Any questions, story you want to share? Something on your mind? Oh. Yeah, this is wonderful. This is absolutely beautiful to be a part of, and thank you all for being here for this this little change up. But it's, as always, God just leads us exactly to who we need to speak to and what we need to do.
Debbie, don't raise your hand.
Yeah, Debbie, just come on, just unmute yourself. There you go. Hey, Debbie, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Cool.
Yeah.
We can. We would love to see you, but I totally understand if you don't want to.
Oh no, I'm actually made a little bit of an effort with myself today because I'm actually at war with Kay. So I'm actually the boss. So I've snuck out the back. But hang on. How do I do the other thing? Okay.
You just
so I got a new
There you go.
phone this week.
Yeah, we can
Here's
see
me.
you. Oh, you're
Yeah.
so beautiful. Hey, Debbie.
I'm just going to go hide over near the jazz cellar. Hang on. Do you like my? I don't know how to flip. Can I flip this to show you this?
I think
I don't know how
so.
to. Here, can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So that's well, that's sort of next to my work. So I work at the Salvation Army, a charity, helping
Okay.
people apparently. Anyway, which I think I'm going to get fired soon. But anywho, what was I going to say? I have a question, and I'm probably taking up too much time.
No,
But did you like the Doctor Who door into the jazz cellar?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so
Magical.
I'm in the sun, but I'll go in the shade. My question is that with all this stuff now about that the dates are wrong and the calendars are wrong and we've lost 11 days and whatever, and with trying to like know thyself, I'm like maybe I'm not the star sign I always thought I was. Does that make sense?
Totally, but it won't change that. They've really done a good job at trying to distort us away from the truth as much as possible by switching from the Gregorian to the Julian calendar, or the Julian to the Gregorian calendar. But the thing is, they can't get away from the stars and their alignments. That's God's truth, always written so plainly. It cannot be changed. So the stars and how they were aligned, the planets and how they were aligned when you were born, does not change regardless of what number date it is. Now it might change the distinctions on what is a Pisces and what is an Aries, but your birth date your born date would change as well.
Yeah, don't say birth.
Yeah, you would still say exactly as your star sign, exactly with your same astrology. But the dates, the numbers might shift a little bit. So you don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, because I always thought I was a Virgo, yeah? But with the 11 days gone now, it feels like I'm now a Leo. That's what I was a bit like.
Well, and the the thing is with astrology, it's an absolutely beautiful tool to know thyself, and it's a wonderful way for us to get to know kind of our starting point. This is how we came into this realm. These were my initial energies that were affecting me to shape who I am and how I react to things. But ultimately, we we need to move past even those confinements. We need to become the true balance of all the signs, to where I truly am the 12 zodiacs. We all go through the full wheel of the 12 zodiacs, so that we aren't bound to any particular thing. So people who learn a lot about astrology, I think is so valuable, and we do need to do this. But don't get stuck in this mindset that I have to be this way. Oh, because I'm a Scorpio, I have to react to this in this way.
Oh,
or
no,
because
no. I've never been.
Yeah, I'm not saying you do.
I've never been controllable, which is
Yeah.
upset just about everyone I know. Yeah. So I just want to know I just want to know, because I was forbidden from knowing about astrology, thanks to the JW parents. Yeah. So now that it's all connected and tied in, I've been trying to allow myself to find out and understand myself, you know, according to my chart, let's say. So then I was like, oh, this is screwed up now, because now I'm not even that. Yeah.
No, but that won't change based on the calendar days. You were still born under the same stars. It's God's truth. Astrology is the highest truth. I mean, this is what all of this one story is all illustrating, the story of the stars. They can't manipulate the stars, and they hate the fact that they can't manipulate the stars and the planets. But that's the beauty of it. It's God's truth written so plainly that no matter what they do, it's there, immovable, unchangeable. It's always there as a guide for us to reunite with the truth, reunite with the Father. So yeah.
And again, astrologos is logos being the word, and astro being the stars or God or light is the word of God or the word of light. And again, he was saying this earlier, that we have to become the astrologos. It's not just that something is written for us and that we're just the thing that is written. Same with meditation. It's not just meditation if you just sit your legs and stay silent. Maybe your mind is still noisy, even though you're in a silent position. So it's the same kind of a thing. And I also think, again, nothing. Oh, sorry, I don't think this. I know this. The sun's path is everything. So as long as you pay attention to the sun, they can't fool you with any dates, with anything.
Yes,
because the sun is.
So when you're sun gazing, you're just letting more truth in. And look at this beauty. Can you see that?
Look at that. Yes. That's also, it's down right now, so we're kind of sad of it, but you're showing it to us again. But anyway, yes, that's why it's the Holy Bible, right? Because it's a hole, it's a portal. And when you have it's also a halo. So Jesus is the light of the world. And he who knows me, has seen me, has seen the Father. Yeah, because when you see the sun, you're seeing pure, unconditioned, magnetic white light, the electric God of the universe, the vital force. So that creator, that vital spark, it's not wrong. It's always bang on. It's straight. It's narrow. And at the same time, it doesn't declinate. It doesn't do this back and forth motion. It rises at 6 a.m. every day. Or I don't know if it changes for winter and stuff, but it's the same. Aries to Pisces every day. There's no change with the sun. So if you know that, it doesn't matter what they tell you.
But here's something else that I've been thinking, and I don't say that I'm great or I'm special or anything like that. But just personally, I feel like we've come full circle now, and we're leading up back to around the first week of November, and like I can feel this tension, like something's going to pop. I think because we've had to go a full lap around the sun to get back to the truth. But that's not a prediction from me or anything like that. It's just my feeling. But I better go because I've got people wanting to talk to me. But love yous all. Everyone in the family. And I'll try and rest as much as I can at work on my Saturday here in Perth, Australia.
Take care, sister.
Bye.
See ya.
Beautiful. Always love
Awesome,
Debbie.
Awesome.
How do I get out of there?
Or you could just stay on and just.
So there was one question in the chat that I want to get to quickly because it's an important one. So Virtuous Unicorn said, I would like to ask how do we pray? I know we into our closet, but how would we pray for someone or to figure out how to handle a situation? So you listed two different, very, very different methods of praying or meditation. And one is when you say, how do we pray for someone? And then how do we figure out how to handle a situation? One of them is asking God for wisdom. And this is all meditation is seeking, is standing in that space and asking, becoming penitent and asking, being humble before God. But if you're praying for something, even if it feels like you're it's because you care for someone and you want them to be the best, or if it's as simple as you're praying for someone, a sports team to win a game or something like that, it's still kind of in the same boat of trying to dictate what God should do and how the situation should be presented and how it should play a part in. And so this is essentially saying that I don't trust the perspective of God, because God knows all of our heart's desires. God knows everything that's going on, and God is all powerful and has the highest perspective. So of course it's going to be orchestrated in the best way possible. We just might not be able to see it from our limited perspective. So the church has taught people to pray by essentially begging God for things to happen, which as soon as you get on your knees and you start begging, you're taking away from the trust, and you're giving into the fears. You're saying, I don't trust that God's going to take care of this in the best way possible, and I'm giving into the fears. That might sound a little harsh, and I don't mean that to come across harshly, but we really need to be reprogramming, recalibrating to this space to where I'm asking God for his wisdom, for the manna from God, for the strength. For the strength, for whatever, but not trying to dictate how an external situation needs to play out or how someone's health needs to play out. The best thing that we can do is to just continue shining in the truth. We can't force anyone to be any certain way. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers that question, and feel free to add anything if you have.
Beautiful question. I want to touch on something you said, because if you pray to get something or you want something, what is that? That's called desire. And I'm pretty sure Buddha says, why do you suffer? You desire. That's why you suffer. So don't pray because your Father already knows what you need. It says it in Matthew 6 somewhere. Sorry, I need to memorize it more, but
Matthew 6 is full of good stuff, guys.
Full of goodies.
Read Matthew chapter 6.
And just look at the word pray. P, photonic light, Ra, the sun, be the sun, and then Y, we have the cup of Christ. So when you're open and you're an antenna and you're asking, and you're radiating, you're raw, and you have a, what do you call it? And you're the photonic light, which is magnetic light, because 16, we know that all energy, it has 16 parts to it. And this is the 8. It's 2 8s, actually, 16 is. And then 16 gets reduced down to 7, which is completeness. It's atonement. So definitely rain is praying to God. P rain is making that connection. And when you make that connection, you don't ask. Or I guess you could be asking a question to other people, but you don't ask anything from God because you're already the king. You're already knowing. And he said earlier, meditation is being. Ing is emphasized there. It's a constant act. This is what it means to be a born-again Christian. You're constantly reincarnating now, incarnating now. You're completely anew every day, every second, every moment, every millisecond. And then that becomes prayer because you're jiving with the tune if you're attuning. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, and just Virtuous Unicorn adds to clarifying, like sending energy for healing. So the best thing we can do is to shine our light as brilliantly and brightly as possible, and to be in that service orientation. And then we're just exuding that energy all the time. So it is going to help. The more we heal ourselves, the more we heal the world around. And it works like that so perfectly. And so we don't have to go into this space of directing any sort of particulars at God, because God knows if you truly care about someone and you wish the best for them, God knows this. And you don't have to sit there and beg God to make something happen, because God already knows this. all God wants us to do is shine brightly. And so the more that we can step into this path and be that light, then that energy naturally heals everyone that we come in contact with. That's why people sought out Jesus and came to him just to touch the hem of his clothes, because of how much he's shown and how much energy he gave off. It just healed. And so the more that we can step into this, the more that we can recognize that we will do greater things than him if we step into this path fully. So it's a continual sense of being, but it's the same as with meditation. We said earlier, it's not something you try at. It's not something that you have to like consciously try and steer and make happen a certain way, because as soon as you're trying to control something, ego is the controller. Ego is the one that tries to like grab hold of the external situation and make it do whatever else, instead of just being present, knowing that you are an eternal being of an eternal child of God. And as the more you step into that as a sovereign, the higher frequency you go, and the more the magic just starts to happen.
The brighter you get. And isn't it funny? Brightly is just be right.
Yeah.
Just be right. Be on the right. All right. Okay.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Yeah, but great question though. Thanks for bringing that forward. Awesome. Does anyone else on the Zoom have a question they want to get into? Anyone want to share? Or people just want to listen in on the Zoom
and show their names. They're here. That's okay.
Yeah.
We love you for just, the effort of coming in the room. That's good enough. Yes, cast thy net to the right, JV. Exactly. Okay. Because what is the net? Net backwards is 10. It's the summation. It's the Sephiroth. So it is the summation. It is the completeness, and it's the magnet. Magnet is magnetic. Magnet IC, and definitely cast it to the right. And it's the same thing as what do you call it when Jesus says rest in my yoke, or offload your burden on my yoke, for my yoke is, or my burden is light, or however it goes. Basically, it's saying, just let it go. Let all the attachments, let the bull crap that's holding you down go. And that's the equivalent to tithing. Just let it sink where it needs to be, or whatever. Just let it go. And then you come to light, because as you come up from the maritime admiralty waters, and you can actually walk, you can actually stand for yourself. You're a competent vessel. Yeah, then things start to get a lot lighter and a lot brighter, because they're being right.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. Any? I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Well, we typed on so many good things. I mean, even with the birds, I just love that the birds singing. Becky, thank you so much for talking about that. So I think Tesla's the one who said there, you can't say anything other than the fact that light is just a perturbation of the ether. It's just a vibration in the ether. So it has to be looked at as sound, and God is sonoluminescent. So you could almost look at light as sound. I mean, it's funny how we say that truth is sound. It has a certain kind of a wholeness to it. So I wanted to comment on that. It's just, I love when people bring things, and the things they're bringing is just aether. It's bringing the origin of all things, the mother and the father, the mother light and the father light, which is the A ether, because it's both A and E. It's both the alpha, the red light, and the E, the blue light, left brain, right brain. It's coming together to make one beautiful, sexual union, yoga creation. Hey, Becky, thank you for talking about the birds again. I just wanted to mention that. It's just fantastic.
Well, I learned at one time that the two pillars is light and sound. So they are like two sides of the same coin. And through light and sound, they all have, the 7 vibrations. So
Yes, ma'am.
I not that I really understand it completely, but that's the beautiful thing about life. We're given little seeds, to digest, even though we can eat this fruit and not so many foods, but that's a joke.
No, exactly.
So I was wondering about a couple of things. One is looking at 3, 6, and 9, and then I watched this thing about Tesla with the 3, 6, and 9, and then the other numbers of 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7, and 8. And so is 3, 6, 9 magnetic, and the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 are they more electric, or is this just because it seemed like they were in almost different paradigms with the way that the formula works?
Are you referring to the Fibonacci sequence with that
No.
other string? No? Okay, I'm not familiar with
Well, there
the
was
one.
this Josh X had it on his program with looking at, I think it was kindness, but I had seen the presentation before, and so I had this this kind of a ping inside of me that the relationship of it was a diagram where 3, 6, and 9
A trinity.
created not just a triangle, but it was a almost like a torus field within itself. And so it made me think, well, are the 3, 6, and 9 the magnetic aspect of numbers? And I wish I understood it more to give you the idea that maybe I can find that presentation on YouTube again and let you know about it, because it was kind of blowing my mind in a way of that, you know, we have the electric and the magnetic, and that these numbers are God's language. And
Numbers don't lie, Becky.
What?
I said numbers don't lie, Becky.
Right. And I mean, one of the biggest lies I ever heard is that man invented mathematics, you know, and maybe they invented fishy mathematics, but the true language of God, you can't invent that. You can discover it, but you can't invent it. Anyway, I can see that I don't have enough knowledge to be able to speak about this intelligently.
Yeah, so I got an answer from Charlie on the topic, and he said 3, 6, 9 in vector physics are the only constants, which is magnetism, and the rest are variables, and a variable is electrical. So all the numbers.
All right. So the ping in me works. I have sometimes I get these little downloads, and I'll have in my body, it will respond in such a way that sometimes it's a ping, or sometimes it's like that's a fucking lie. Get away from that person. You're not gonna learn the truth from that, and I get that, you know, from born again Christians all the time. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna listen to them because I have an inner knowing that from when I was a child that there's nothing but God. Everything is God. And so even though evil and all these things seem like they're ungodly, in a sense, they are an aspect of God that kicks us in the butt to become more godly. You know, and they're everything's a message. And so my philosophy is everything is a gift, even if it's wrapped in shit. Because it just is. And the journey, the amazing miracle is to discover the essence of that gift so that it can help one to grow and be more virtuous and life is amazing, and sometimes you get buried by it, but if you learn how to breathe under dirt, you'll be just fine.
Just real quick, just because Michelle said, what was P in pray, Eugene? Well, it's the photonic ray that you're making, because P is the photon. And this comes back to magnetism, because magnetism is pure magnetic white light, which is virgin, or often referred to as sterile, because it's unpolarized. So it's the full spectrum. It has all 7 lights within it. And funny enough, we have 3, 6, 9. What is the unmentioned next number? Which is the number of completion. The number of L is 12. And that's why I also tell you to look at letters, because numbers, they add up, but they add up to letters as well. And what is a letter? It's a message. It's a letter to you. So there's that aspect to it too. But anyway, so we get 3, 6, 9, which is spring, Aries to Gemini is 1 to 3. So that's, you get that one season. So these are representing the seasons as well. So spring is positive. Up to 6, from 4 to 6 is negative. And then we have fall, which is neutral, up to 9, from 7 to 9. And then we have transitory. That's why you don't need to mention 10 to 12, because it's transitory. And funny enough, 10, why? Because 10 reduces to 1. So it becomes Aries again. Because you can start the year in either Aries, which is the start of the real ecliptical year, which you start at the head, or you can start it at Capricorn when Jesus, is born. Isn't it so funny how it all comes together? So anyway, so 3, 6, 9 in that sense also represents the zodiac, because the zodiac is the only way P ray happens. The photonic ray comes in 12ness. It comes in 4 elements, and it comes in 3, I think it's called phases or either conditions. It's one or the other. But it's cardinal, fixed, mutable. And 3, 6, 9 are mutable. They're all changing. So it's manipulating. They're all destroying in some sense, so a new thing can come about. So I would love to talk about that aspect too. And then again, let's just reiterate. 3 is C. F is 6. 9 is I. So C, clarity. C, the act of seeing Christ at the same time. I mean, Charlie likes to say 3, 6, 9, which is mother, son, and then you get to the 9th heaven, father. That's very true, because 6 is the journey of man. And then, you start with the mother, obviously. You start with the Trinity. You start with what you're given. But yeah, you can also look at it as C, so clarity, and then F, matter. 6, materialization. But it's also kind of like the hexagram or some sense. You can look at it as the Merkaba. That's why it's also the vehicle of man. And then we have 9, I, consciousness, divine, feminine. We got all those things. And then we have 12, obviously, which is one of my favorite numbers, L, because Jesus is the psych L. It's the circ L. He is the L. Anyway, hi, Kathy.
Yeah, Wakey says Eugene needs his own show. I agree. I told him we can get him on my channel, or we need to get him his own channel. Just about all this wisdom.
I'm still absorbing.
But yeah, Charlie said that's a great question, Becky, and he wants to expand on that quite a bit. So maybe that'll be a good show we can do in the future. Maybe even the next Q&A show, we can get into that a little bit more. But yeah, great question. Thanks for bringing that up. And hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. Fantastic. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's our Sabbath here in New Zealand. So it's pretty cool. I've got some stuff to show you guys.
Do it.
Did you guys see this on the picture? This is the picture of, is that clear? Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
If you want to, there it goes.
Oh, it just came into view. Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, if you maybe turn it on so the sun, so the window is behind you, I think we could see a little bit easier.
Let the light work with you, eh?
All right.
Yeah, there it is.
Beautiful.
I put it on the Freak Sense World one.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
And I've just got this book.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah,
I just said great.
you mentioned that last time. How is it?
This is a different one. This is the one. It just arrived in the mail the other day. And oh my gosh, some good wisdom in this one. It's really good. Yeah, so I'm going to post little bits and pieces. I've got a yellow pencil and I'm just using that as a highlighter to highlight the real key
Fantastic.
little sentences. Yeah, it's so good. So
Yeah,
that's
Kathy,
all. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Kathy has been such a pioneer on the website. She has been posting like crazy, sharing all sorts of beautiful wisdom left and right. So if you haven't checked out our new website, please come and join us. It's free to sign up. And that's going to be the only space where Charlie's going to be making his posts in the future. That's going to be the space where we know we're not going to get censored and taken when however long it takes to go through this transition where we get rid of all these demonic platforms and move into the higher ones. We will have this safe space of FreakSense World. So make sure to come check that out. There's a link to join that in the show notes. So yeah, thank you, Kathy, for sharing so much wisdom on there. You truly do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's so good. I just love this journey and it's so nice. You know, I could share some of the stuff on Facebook, but it is just like Matthew chapter 6, casting your pearls before the swine. As soon as, you know, that's just all that Facebook is. Casting your pearls before the swine. And I know these people, I've grown up with them and played sport with them, and they're good people, but they're just not where the FreakSense family is at. And that's where I want to be. I want to be talking to the FreakSense family about my journey and everything. And it's just I'm so grateful for that platform. Yeah, so it's just awesome. So thank you so much, Tony and everybody. Thank you so much.
Love you so much, Kathy.
All right, I'll let somebody else have a go.
All right, thanks, sister.
Yeah, Kathy, I loved your red book, your red shirt, your red hair. Martian, you got that iron.
I haven't makeup on. My hair's going, sort of getting it, you know, like, who was it off the Munsters? Lillian Munster. She have a strip of grey in her hair. It's coming back. So I'm gonna this is me at my worst. I got all dressed up for the last Q&A and now I just don't care now.
You're beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna do henna later on in my hair and get it looking and straightened and looking nice again. Yeah. So yeah. There you go. So I'm egoless. I've made progress in life. I'm egoless. I don't care how I look. The vanity's gone. So how cool is that? And it goes to show, because you guys are so non-judgmental. You know, it's just such a beautiful thing. It's just this is how we're meant to be.
Yeah, well, we don't see bodies. We shouldn't see bodies and view that as the individual. We see their soul, we see their essence, their light, and that's all that matters. The body is just something to carry us in this physical plane while we're here playing in it, but it really means nothing. You know, but it is good to take care of the body. And speaking of hair color, if the more alkaline we are, the more we can actually regain our initial hair color. It's happened before. So if you stay on that alkaline path, it's certainly very possible. We can regenerate everything.
I've just thought of another question. Can I ask a quick question? When Charlie talked about litmus paper,
yes,
you're testing the urine, are you, with litmus paper, and then you can see how alkali you are. Is that right? Can you explain that?
You can test your urine and you can test your saliva. This would be a better question for Tony. So if you want to submit this to healthywithfruit@gmail.com, and we can answer that on our Wednesday Q&A with her. Because I believe, I don't want to say it wrong, but I believe your urine is supposed to be slightly acidic and your saliva should be slightly alkaline, but they will vary from fluid to fluid. But yeah, that would be a better question to her to know what a good answer is.
All right. Thanks so much. I'll keep listening to you. Let the next person come on.
Thank you. I just wanted to say you look great at your worst. So damn. Also,
because I'm being filled with this good stuff.
But anyway, so it's funny you bring up litmus paper, because what is litmus paper? It's pH. It is photonic, you know, that photon, it's pH. So it shows you what light you're vibrating, the red light, the blue light. Not red and blue aren't necessarily good or bad, but at the same time, we have alkalinity and we have acidity. So, I mean, like Justin was saying, our goal is alkalinity.
Wow. Yeah, it certainly makes a difference. Makes such a big difference. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much. Right. Next person's turn. Come on, be brave, everyone. If I can do it, you can do it.
Love, sister.
Okay, see ya. I'll see how to get out of here.
All right. We'll say there one more person can hop on and ask a question if anyone wants to, and if not, then we'll go ahead and end this one because it has been 2 hours.
Only 2 hours.
Yeah, we could go the negative 48 6-hour marathon. There have been a couple of people asking about the show negative 48. We are hoping that we're going to be able to do it tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central Time. So the same time, we're hoping that we can get the internet situated at Charlie and Colleen's or another solution. So that's the plan. Is to have it tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So for those asking about that, that is the answer. Yeah, we were initially gonna, there's Colleen.
This is Justin's beautiful dog. I've never seen a dog more beautiful than this, and he never shows it on shows. I don't know why.
She's camera shy. Anytime I ever try and take a picture of her, she always like moves away. She doesn't like her essence.
Really? She's too magical for recording.
Yeah, she's perfect though.
And she has that fiery fire like a Kathy's. So she has that red vitality.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this has been an absolutely beautiful show. We'll go ahead and start wrapping it up. One quick question. Michael asked, did you hear what ML, I'm not sure who ML said about negative 48 being divine Archangel Michael. So he's addressed this before. I mean, he's just Michael.
But he certainly is divine, and he talks like an archangel, but he's just Michael. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. And, you know, I think these higher souls do come into each of our beings at different times, and we might not even realize who we truly are, or our soul's history and how far it's been. So I don't know, but he's certainly acting according to God's plan, just as we all are, and sharing the truth just as we all should. So we love you, Michael, and we appreciate what you're doing.
I mean, it's kind of like Trump or Kennedy, right? Like, they're not gods, and God doesn't have favorites, but is there rewards greater than everyone else's? You betcha, because they were the most bang on, straight. They had no compromise, and just like Michael, just like Charlie. I mean, maybe not you. You're a little bit of a bigger fish, but I'm like a shrimp compared to Charlie and Michael. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely. I mean, these people are just. They've come here, they've done the work, and they've raised, they've attuned, they've made the connection, the ant, they're the antenna, just lifting 20 times their weight. And what more can you say? Whether these people are actually Michael the Archangel incarnated or not. But to me, Michael is the sun. And yes, I can see the Son of Man and Michael raised very high. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And don't get stuck in comparisons, because we are all playing exactly the role that we need to be playing.
I'm playing the shrimp role.
just play it beautifully and celebrate each and every opportunity, and know that it's all divinely orchestrated. We chose this experience. We chose exactly where we are. We chose the life that we're walking, the path that we're walking, and we can always make it better. We can always continue to be righteous and get on that straight and narrow path and continue to elevate. And that's what each and everything that we're encountering is designed to get us back onto that path. Some of us have just really forgotten and really gone far down, but they'll remember too, eventually. There's no escaping the path. But yeah, so thank you all so much for joining us this wonderful evening or day, wherever you are. Thank you for being here. We're truly honored and humbled to serve and to be these conduits of truth, to help the divine just speak through us and answer questions any way we can. We're always there for you. Feel free to reach out. You know, I've got my Linktree linked. I'm always happy to do one-on-ones with people if they want to schedule that way. I don't charge, just contribution based, but I don't expect any of that. And let's see, shows coming up. Like I said, we're hopefully got that one with -48 tomorrow at the same time, but we'll be sure to make a post about that every which way. So be setting those intentions that the internet is taken care of, but you don't have to pray for it because God's going to situate it however it needs to happen. It'll happen however it needs to go. And then let's see, next week I'll have so I saw some health related questions in here. Make sure to send those over to Tony at healthywithfruit@gmail.com. We have a weekly Q&A where we go over any questions that anyone has related to health and alkalinity. We would be more than happy to go over your questions there. Next week might be a little bit different time schedule just because I'll be traveling. But yeah, that's coming up. And then hopefully we'll be back with Charlie and Colleen back on the Q&A next week. And maybe Eugene will join us again. All right, guys. Well, we love you so much and we'll talk to you next time.